Hello everyone, warm welcome. In today's episode, we have Karis Gill, a multi-award winning entrepreneur and storyteller trainer who has built her company to multi six figures in sales by using storytelling as a key strategy. Karis co-founded Social Stories Club 8 years ago, a social enterprise gifting company. And from day one, she has treated story like a growth lever. She baked it into everything: pitches, proposals, product pages, PR, sales call, even the unboxing moment when turning a small idea into a memorable brand with real traction and real impact. Over the past 5 years, Caris has delivered 100 plus keynotes and workshops, helping founders and sales team turn stories into warmer leads, faster decisions, and fewer prize fights. She now runs high energy storytelling workshops for sales people and keynotes, and works one to one with founders to sharpen positioning, craft founders' conversion and process stories, and view them through marketing and sales so the message does the heavy lifting. Her belief is simple: our brains are wired for story, yet, most of us were never taught how to communicate in story. Caris closes the gap with practical frameworks and live practice that you can use straight away. Caris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for such a lovely introduction. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, so let us get started. And Caris, to begin with, I would like to ask, your first big win came from storytelling. What happened and what did it teach you about using story?
Yes, so we were running our company, Social Stories Club, for 2 years, and we were on that struggle bus where we were reaching out to a lot of people. We were applying for lots of funding, and we'd been rejected a lot. Felt like rejection, 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 rejection. And I was so obsessed with the idea. I thought we must come up with the best idea ever. Sustainable gift hampers filled with social enterprise products such as teas that educate girls over in India by building schools and chocolates that support reforestation projects. I just thought, how have we got the best idea in the world and we're not able to get the traction and others can't see it? So I thought, well, the thing that I love about it is storytelling. I really loved the stories behind the products. They really inspired me. You open up your gift hamper, you see your soap, you see your biscuits, you see your socks, and you know that everything is creating an amazing impact and has that story. So I thought maybe if I got a bit better at telling the stories, then we might see a little bit of a shift. What I wasn't expecting to find absolutely transformed our business because I learned when reading up about storytelling. I ordered so many books, psychology books, everything I could get my hands on. I learned that our brains are wired for story. And I learned that when you communicate in story, the brain receives the information differently. So normally, if you're talking with someone, the prefrontal cortex will receive the information and it will criticize it. It will criticize it, it will judge it, and it will try and come up with reasons to say no. Whereas when you tell a story, the criticism dials down and the imagination dials up. So you're more likely to be persuaded when you tell a story. So our first big win was when we changed our whole pitch deck from when you pitched it for businesses, they want to know problem, solution, market sizing, market validation. They have all these tick boxes. We storyboarded every single one. So instead of it sounding like we're ticking a box, we told the story. So when it came to our team, instead of saying, and on our team, we have Karis and Ayush, and we have a team of this many people, and these are our advisors, we spoke about it in storytelling. We said we knew that we needed a strategic advisor in procurement. So we went onto LinkedIn. We spoke about the journey of finding them. So the whole energy around the pitch shifted. It shifted from telling people information to tick boxes to telling an engaging story of our journey. We still ticked all the same boxes and had all the same information, but they could see why we cared because suddenly we were the characters in the story trying to create this impact and we needed them. They were the heroes of the story who were going to give us the funding to create this big impact. And so we changed the narrative, storyboarded our whole pitch, and we started to win and win and win. And we won so much money. We actually didn't really know what to do with the money because we started to scale and we started to use the same storytelling principles in marketing and sales. And I would break down what is it about storytelling that we could use as part of our processes. And I created formulas, I created methodologies, I created story-based case studies that we could use. And we kept closing sales and we kept attracting more leads. And we just grew to the point that our team was 13 people very, very, very quickly. And it's because we were leaning into authenticity and we were communicating in a way that the brain was designed to receive information, which is in story.
Fantastic. I think your start was really, really amazing. And I think
Thank you.
your answer is going to motivate a lot of people to give up the traditional rule, the traditional way of PowerPoint and all those things and move to this new powerful way of storytelling. We cannot call it a new way, but yes, a new way in terms of business because storytelling has always been practiced, especially in India, but in the personal space, never in the professional space. And I believe that listening to you is going to motivate a lot of people. If we can move forward, what I would like to know is what are the concrete benefits of learning storytelling for sales and authority building?
Well, the great thing about storytelling is that you can use it as part of every single conversation that you have in business, and you can use it throughout everything that you put out there. And sales is a huge part of that. When it comes to the copy on your website, when it comes to forming strategic partnerships, when it comes to booking sales calls, attracting leads through LinkedIn, storytelling comes throughout this whole process. Stories are 22 times more memorable than facts, yet we're leading with facts in business. So when you're competing with somebody who have a story-based strategy, they're going to have the edge over you because they're communicating in a way where the brain is disarmed, the brain has all the information it needs in order to make this decision, and it feels really good. Now, a key part of storytelling is emotions. What happens in our brain when we tell a story and when we hear a story is we feel the same as the character in the story. So if I was to tell you now a story and I spoke about how I tried really, really hard to win something, had lots of failure and ended up winning, you would feel that level of excitement. You would share it with me because your brain thinks you are the character that has just had that huge win. It thinks you are the character that had the failure, so it will feel that. So when we're in sales conversations, and we're buyers, we make emotional based decisions. It's been proven that buyers buy majority based on emotions. They make emotional decisions and they back up emotional decisions with logic. They reckon it's about 80% emotion, 20% logic. Yet sales strategies really lack emotion currently. How they're done is business as usual. It's all about the logic, the practicalities. So if we're taking the emotion out of the equation, we're missing out on that amazing tool which influences decisions, which is feelings. If you can get somebody on your call to feel so excited, maybe relief, maybe, oh, thank goodness, do you know what I mean? You're solving this problem. For me, get them to feel that strong emotion they want to feel. Get them to understand exactly how it's going to work and get them really in that journey where they can imagine experiencing what they're looking to buy. And then you have the bit of logic, which is, the thing of, oh, yes, my previous clients have had X level of success doing this. You've got the logic to back it up. They are more likely to make a decision. They need all of the information up ahead and feeding it together in a form of a story where they are the main character and you take them on that journey. It's an emotional decision and it's so much easier to get to yes. We saw our conversion rate climb to 85% at Social Stories Club when we started to embed storytelling as part of our strategy, and it's authentic storytelling. So if somebody comes to us and we don't think we're a good fit for you, we will send them in somebody else's direction who can help them better. It's not about, tricking people. It's about saying, we can help you. We can create this amazing transformation for you. And this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like. Would you like to proceed?
Great, great. I think this is the aspect of emotion being used in business is something I think not really exploited to the extent it should have been. So I'm sure the listeners are going to benefit from this. But if I may ask, at its core, what exactly or what actually is a story in the business context?
Yeah, so this is gotten entirely wrong. Businesses think they're telling stories when often they're just telling statements. So there's three components that a story needs in order for it to even be a story. And if when you're telling your stories, you actively think, does it have these three components? And you hit them all three, then great, you've got a story. Doesn't mean you have a good story, but you at least have a story. And a lot of stories in business are not actually stories because it doesn't have one of these three components. The first component is a character. You must have a real person. A lot of businesses put businesses as a character. So they would say, for example, if they were selling to a supermarket, XYZ supermarket was facing a challenge with their staff turnover. But we're not a story because we don't have these real characters who are the real people. So we need a real named character who has real feelings, goals, and emotions. A named character. It could be
Mhm.
you, me, our competitors, could be them, it could be clients, it could be our investors, absolutely any real person with a name who has a goal and who has feelings. The second thing is there needs to be something that happens. So, an obstacle or a conflict. It could be anything really, really small, such as, oh, my tea got left on the side and it became really cold. That is an example of an obstacle or conflict, but it's not a very good one because the stakes are really low. So, the higher the stakes of the conflict, the more chance you have of making it a really impactful story. So, the highest stakes would be everyone is going to die. And those are the sort of stakes that were used during COVID, for example, in business. And some businesses naturally lend to higher stakes than others. But really, even if it's really low stakes, such as your tea gets cold, if you as a character feel very strongly about this, really emotional response, it still has a potential to be a good story. So it's not just where it's the stakes land on the level of tea getting cold to everyone's going to die, but it's also how much do we care as the character? The more the character cares, the more potential you have in your storytelling. And the third one is a resolution. Something has to happen. So in national, like when you see nursery rhymes and fairy tales, it's very obvious, what happens at the end. You'll get Little Red Riding Hood gets eaten by the wolf, for example. But in business, it's often presented in a way of a key takeaway. So it will be, and this is why XY client signed on with us and had this amazing result. And it's because we implemented XYZ. It comes in the form of a key takeaway. There needs to be the ending. What happened to resolve the conflict in the end? So the key takeaway part is what makes it slightly more unique to business, whereas in writing, you won't get at the end of the book, and the key takeaways are, but in business, you put in the key takeaways, and that could be your resolution. So character, obstacle, and then resolution at the end. Just because you have those three doesn't mean it's a good story, but it means that you at least have a story.
Sure, sure. I think so. Character, uh, conflict, and resolution. So I think three
Absolutely.
aspects. If we have these three aspects, we at least have a story. If it is a good story or not, that needs to be checked. But what, if I may ask, what is the single biggest thing we need to see more of in storytelling right now?
So in business as it is, when it comes to sales, when it comes to presentations, we shy away from emotion and we shy away from anything we see as unprofessional. So what you'll see businesses put out is the synergy, strategic advantage, pivot, all of these words, which are not words that we use on a day-to-day human level. And we are humans. We need to connect more people with emotions. We need to use emotions more in business storytelling, and it is very effective because when you're trying to solve a business problem, there's other people on the end who have really big, strong feelings about that problem and really want it to solve. And that is what we need to be addressing in our storytelling, is how it affects people and the emotions behind it. Now, brands that do this have a lot of success with it, but there's a huge especially from really, large corporates, there's a huge concern of getting into the emotional side of things seem to be unprofessional. But the business world was originally created by men. And when it was created by men originally, it came with that professional is a suit and tie. Professional is speaking in a very, strict business jargon, where what professional is being rewritten now. Emotions are not unprofessional and shouldn't be seen as unprofessional at all. In fact, it's what makes us human. And the more that we lean in to these parts and bring human elements into business, the more it's going to resonate with clients, it's going to resonate with suppliers and partners, and its brands start to feel more empathetic, more human, and connect more. So emotions is the biggest thing we're missing out on.
Yeah, because as you correctly mentioned, we believe emotions is unprofessional, and in office context, there is no place for emotions. But I think what differentiates man from machines is machines do not have emotions. Human beings have emotions, so no harm in tapping into that. Going forward, if I may ask, uh, how do you use stories as part of sales? Because I've heard a lot of times people saying that sales can be made easier, simpler by using storytelling. So how can we do that? How can we use stories as part of sales?
100%. So I recommend for any person out there who is a founder-led brand or who is part of a sales team, and they're selling one-to-one as part of conversations rather than, for example, Social Stories Club, you can head over to our website and you can buy a gift box at any point you like. Or if you want to have a larger order for your business, you come and meet us one-to-one. So anyone who comes and meets one-to-one and has a sales conversation, if you have these 3 stories prepared, that is a really good start. So the first story is the founder story. It's or the hero story. If it's not a founder-led brand, a hero story. It's effectively why this company was started, the mission, and it helps us really connect to the person behind. So if it's a founder-led brand, this is the perfect opportunity to use storytelling. And the idea is the founder story really gets us to understand the person behind it and be drawn to them and go, I really find you and what you do interesting. I believe you're the authority in this space and I want to know more. Next, you have your process story. Your process story would take somebody on the journey of using your product or service from day one. So they would say, what we would do is you would come to Karis and you would sign on for the 5-week storytelling program. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to map out your founder story. So we would take somebody on the journey of what it would be like to work with us, the thing they're going to feel, the challenges they're going to face, and what we're going to do at each step of the way. So they don't have any questions about the how. They know how. They know what it's going to be like, and they can get excited for the sorts of results that they're going to get, because that come as part of that story. Then lastly, we're going to have the conversion story, which is a story that proves we know how to do this. We know how to get these results. We have done this before, and we're going to do it for you too, using case study stories of how we have done this before for others. So those 3 stories, founder story or hero story, the process story, and the conversion story.
Great, fantastic. I think listeners who are in the sales profile will definitely benefit from this. If I may ask, how transferable are these storytelling skills?
Very transferable. When it comes to storytelling as a skill, you can use it in every single conversation you ever have with anyone. So whether you're down the pub with your mates, or you're delivering on stage in front of a large audience, or you're having one-to-one conversation, understanding how to tell stories makes you more interesting, makes you more memorable, and makes you more trustworthy. So if we want that with our friends, if we want that in our business, Storytelling is a great skill to learn, and you don't always have to be telling stories. You just have to be using storytelling principles more in your communication.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, Moving forward, I would like to ask, how do you use stories across your funnels? Is it as simple as tell more stories or what?
That's a really good question. There's different parts of the funnel. So if you're the top of the funnel content, you're going to be telling far more personal stories, and it depends on your brands. I'm talking here to founder-led brands who are posting on LinkedIn, for example. You're going to tell personal stories that really capture who you are. So it might be, this is my dog, Fluffy, Chief Cuteness Officer. We're working behind the scenes at the storytelling, and we are today working with a client on, so really open-ended. Then you go for the middle of your funnel, which is more the educational contents behind what you do and letting people experience and feel understood and heard with their struggle. So we're going to tell their story to them in a post about exactly what they're thinking and feeling and struggling. So we might go, for example, you've been on LinkedIn for a while, and you every now and then you post on LinkedIn and you feel frustrated that your clients are not coming into you in droves. Every now and then you stop posting on LinkedIn because you feel frustrated and you really wish that you could find a way where clients could just come and find you more authentically. So that's just an example I've just pulled out of thin air. You speak to them and share their story. At the very bottom of the funnel, you'll be posting conversion stories similar to what I spoke about that you have on your in your part of your conversations. So these are how you do it, a part of the funnel. There's a little bit more detail than that, but it's a very simplified version of it.
Thank you, thank you. And as we move towards the end of this episode, one final question before we say bye and thanks to you. What is that one storytelling tip that you would like people to leave with in today's episode? That is, what is that one thing that you would like to tell the listeners here?
So when people listen to a story, they imagine it and paint a picture in their head. They play it out like a movie. Often we don't give enough information for people to play it out like a movie. And it's very basic things that we need. We need one specific moment in time. For example, I was walking along the beach the other day. That's enough for us to imagine walking along the beach. So I was walking along the beach the other day. We don't give enough information to even picture anything. So we dive into a story and we don't know where it's being set. We have nothing to imagine. Then suddenly it's not a story because it's not one moment in time. So I went, oh, yeah, last year my sales went really well for my company. And we tried lots of different things and experimented. There's nothing for you to picture in your head. What are you picturing? Graphs? We need to pick moments in time. So if we said, so it was actually New Year's Eve, and me and my co-founder sat down and we were like, how did we do this year? So we pulled up the spreadsheets and we realized that we'd had a phenomenally good year. Suddenly you've got a story because people can imagine you and your co-founder sitting at the desk and you're with it and you're there. The emotions start to come out. When you paint one moment in time, an image for people to play out in their head, naturally we just become better storytellers because if we go into that mode of describing how we felt and what it was like being there. So that is my one tip to take away for today. If you start focusing on that one thing, it's part of your conversations every single time that you bring up a story, you will notice that your stories pick up in pace a little bit, become more emotional, and are more effective very quickly.
Great, great. Thank you, Karis, for that. I think you have shared a lot of important and valuable inputs for all the listeners here on this newly found old skill of storytelling in business context. And I'm sure the audience is going to be greatly benefited by this. Thank you, Karis, for taking time from your hectic schedule to be a part of this episode. Thank you again.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to find me, I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Karis Gill, spelled Karis, like Paris, capital city of France with a K, and then surname Gill.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Best wishes. Thank you.